Good morning and welcome to the National Newspaper Publicists Association's Let It Be Known. The White House Correspondents Dinner featured two comedians, Roy Wood Jr. and none other than Doc Brandon, President Joe Biden himself. And we saw the president like we've never seen him before, including his effusive praise of the black press. We'll talk about that this morning. Also, a manhunt continues for a Texas man who, right along with the gun culture that we see, he got upset when his neighbor asked him to stop shooting his gun in the air. But they said the baby, he was waking up their babies. Well, this man stormed into their house and killed five people, including an 8-year-old execution style. And the hunt continues. He somehow got away. We're going to talk about that this morning. This goes right along with the gun culture. Also, about Donald J. Trump. He met with the leader of the Hang Mike Pence posse and vowed to pardon all January 6 rioters and take back their countries. Maybe you won't be surprised at what Trump and this woman talked about and what was said there. Unreal. We're going to talk about that. And I am forced this morning. It's not a good day. It's not a good morning. Everybody's writing good morning. It's not that good. It's at the Garden yesterday. Picks up 14, game one, Eastern Conference semifinals. At home, Garden crowd like you've never heard it before. Everybody in the house, the alumni, Patrick Ewing, my man Bernard King, John Starks, everybody in the house. Spike doing Spike things on the sidelines. Yet, somehow, the Knicks lost game one at home. Not a good look at the Mecca. But they go at it again tomorrow night. So we'll see what happens. It's just game one, 7-game series. I kind of expected to go 7, but we will see. Just a waste of a trip to the Garden, waste of a crowd. It was really, really exciting. Some pregame stuff, a little this, a little that. Nonetheless, we move on. Game 2, Tuesday night. So Donald Trump met with the woman who said she wants to hang Mike Pence. She just got out of jail for her role in the January 6th Capitol riots, the insurrection. And Donald Trump declared to her and all January 6th folks, he called them patriots. And he said, once he's back in office, he's pardoning all of them. And he says, we are finally going to take our country back. She, on the other hand, she hugged Trump and she said it was like hugging Jesus. I guess we can let it sit there. I was waiting for David Youngblood or Power 96 to kind of jump in there, but y'all late. And don't Power 96 is still on my Knicks. Leave my Knicks alone, Power 96. He says they're cursed. Stephen A. Smith and Chris Rock are Knicks fans. And maybe that is a problem that Stephen A. Smith is a Knicks fan, sometime Knicks fan. But nonetheless, this woman just came out of prison for her role, and she was the. He said cocaine is a hell of a drug. She led that posse in searching for Pence. They had the news, they had everything. Rick, it was a serious thing, and they truly wanted to kill the vice president of the United States and Donald Trump's vice president, and yet he calls her a patriot, and there she is hugging him, saying that she felt like she was hugging Jesus. Wow, politics have really gone mad in this country. There's no question about it. And that's something else we'll just let sit right there. A manhunt is underway. This, folks, is really alarming. We talk so much about the gun culture in this country. We talk so much about how things have spun completely out of control. You can't go into the wrong driveway or knock on the wrong door by accident without your life being on the line. In this case, this young man police are searching for it. Now, police believe that he got away on foot or on a bicycle, and they had pinned him down to within a 2-mile radius. This is the Texas man who was shooting his gun in the air. Neighbor kindly asked him, could he please stop shooting the gun in the air? He's gonna wake up the children. Well, he got mad at the neighbor, stormed into their house, and execution style shot them all, including the 8-year-old child. This is simply because he was asked to stop fine. The suspect is 38-year-old Francisco Oropeza, and he used AR-15 semi-automatic black rifle. Um, the home that he went into is in the Trail Ends area of Cleveland, Texas, and it happened around 11:30 p.m. He just opened fire. The San Jacinto County Sheriff's Office said that they thought they had him pinned to a 2-mile radius. Well, here we are 2.5 days later, and now they believe he may have left the country. They can't find him. They've lost all trace of this uh, person. James Smith, the special agent in charge of the FBI's Houston area office, uh, said that the manhunt will continue. He's urged anyone who spots the suspect, to call 911. He said, "We consider him armed and dangerous. He is out there and he's a threat to the community." The FBI, the U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, and the Texas Department of Public Safety are part of this manhunt that has now stretched over about 3 days now. And so they are on the lookout. Anybody who, as they say, anybody who makes spot him or believe they've spotted him, do not approach. Call 911. Do not try to be a hero. This guy had shot and killed 5 people, including an 8-year-old, which says he has no qualms with taking your life. So don't put your life at risk with this guy. If you're in the Cleveland, Texas area, the Houston area, or wherever he may be at this time, the authorities just right now admit they have little clues now as to where he might be after thinking that they had him um, cornered within a 2-mile radius of where he committed these allegedly committed these acts. Some of the law enforcement officers searching for the suspects were even on horseback. So they have horseback. They have, of course, the vehicles. They air search. Uh, Austin Cooper writes in that Governor Abbott, a despicable human being, referred to the victims as illegal immigrants. Regardless of right, Austin, regardless of whether or not these people were in the country legally or illegally, they are still victims of violence, of senseless violence. Um, and Power 96 says, "Oh, buddy is definitely in Mexico. Thanks, Governor Abbott." He said, he said, "The hell with gun laws." And good morning to Burn It Down, Barrington Salmon, who's watching as well. But anyone, again, with if you cite this guy, those of our folks who are watching in the Texas area, if you spot this guy, call 911. Barrington says, regardless, they are still human beings. Lives were taken. It just goes with the gun culture. Got to mention this just real briefly. If you didn't see this story, just real briefly, when you think about the gun culture, the guy on a date. Now he's on a date, and he parks his car, and someone who pretends to be a valet takes $40 from him to park his car. When the guy realizes that this so-called valet was a scam, he gets to the restaurant door, and the people at the restaurant say, "Oh no, we don't have valet here." So he nonchalantly walks back to his car where the guy has parked the car. Now he parked the car. I mean, he earned the $40, maybe some will say. Goes in the glove compartment of the car, takes the gun out, and just shoots the guy to death. And walks back in the restaurant, sits down to have his dinner with his date. This is the mindset that people now have in this gun culture, this American gun culture. Eric Aguirre is the guy's name. He appeared in court, charged with killing 46-year-old Elliot Nix on a Houston street. Witnesses saw the shooting. The girlfriend said, or the date said she did not know that he had shot the man. She said that when he came back to the restaurant, he said, I just went to scare him. She said, everything is okay. But at some point, he says to the girlfriend or the date, I'm not sure if they were officially a couple, but he says to her, "You know what? I no longer want to eat here. Let's go somewhere else. I just don't feel right about this place." Well, he didn't feel right about it because he knew the police were coming. $40. So somebody lost their life. You decided to take a life over $40. I understand that you are upset, but $40. Shameful, shameful. Um, that and unfortunately, folks, there are many other stories like that out there today when it comes to gun violence. So just be careful. Be careful with that, get cut off in the road. It's not worth it. Somebody upsets you. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Well, over the weekend, I tell you what was worth it. Over the weekend, and I gotta say, I wasn't so big on actually going to the White House Correspondents Association dinner. I mean, last year was last year. It was nice experience. Trevor Noah was really good. He was Trevor Noah. This year, I wasn't too excited about Roy Wood Jr., Daily Soul correspondent. Didn't know a whole lot about him either, um, but he was funny. He was really funny. So was Joe Biden. Joe Joe Biden was as funny, I dare say, as the comedian they hired to do the show. It was absolutely a blast. They roasted Don Lemon was roasted, Tucker Carlson, of course, Elon Musk, Kevin McCarthy, Margie Taylor Greene. Uh, Biden ate her up in one line, in a one-liner. Ron DeSantis, one of the things he said about Ron DeSantis, Ron DeSantis and the "Don't Say Gay" and this whole idea of critical race theory, et cetera, et cetera. But the "Don't Say Gay" thing was really interesting because Biden hit him hard. He said, he said they told DeSantis in order to run, he needs a mandate, and DeSantis' response was, "Oh no, I'm straight." I thought if you think about it, and and Biden said, let that sit for a moment. But it was absolutely hilarious. Um, Plenty of self-deprecating jokes from the president. He says, for instance, talking about his age, he says, "I believe in the First Amendment, not just because my good friend Jimmy Madison wrote it." Uh, he said, "Look, I get that. Age is a completely reasonable issue." He says, "You might think I don't like Rupert Murdoch." He says, "That's simply not true. How can I dislike a guy who makes me look like Harry Styles?" He says, "Call me old." He says, "I call it being seasoned. You say I'm ancient. I say I'm wise." He says, "You say I'm over the hill." And here was the line that he got Don Lemon on. He says, you say I'm over the hill." Well, Don Lemon would say that that's a man in his prime. The president was really on point. Even when Roy Wood got up and uh, talked about him being Sleepy Joe and taking naps. But the president has some quips about that too. He says, "I'll talk for 10 minutes, take zero questions, and cheerfully walk away." This guy was on. I don't know who wrote the president's jokes last night. Erica Lowe, if you're watching, um, look, give somebody at the White House, whoever wrote those jokes for the president last night. You can't tell me he wrote them himself. Well, maybe he did. Maybe he did. He did the whole Dark Brandon thing. Uh, but Roy Wood was also funny. But like I said, I kind of stay on the president for a moment here. Um, he says, "I've been saying, don't compare me to the Almighty. Compare me to the alternative." He said, "We added." At Donald Trump here. He says, "We added 12 million jobs. That's just counting the lawyers that defended Donald Trump." It's guy was on a roll. I'm telling you. The dinner is one of the two great traditions in Washington. He says the other one is underestimating me and Kamala Harris. He said, but the truth is, we really have a record to be proud of. Vaccinated the nation, transformed the economy, urged historic victories and midterm results, but the job isn't finished. I mean, it is finished for Tucker Carlson, he said. He went on to joke about the controversy surrounding Elon Musk, his acquisition of Twitter. He says, I love NPR because they whisper into the mic like I do, but not everybody loves NPR, he said. He said, Elon Musk tweeted that it should be defunded. Well, the best way to make NPR go away is for Elon Musk to buy it. He's just this guy had quips galore. He directed some stuff to and Fox was, they had their table, and the reaction from the Fox folks was really interesting because he talked about the $787.5 million settlement they just made with Dominion voting systems, and he says, it's good to see all the media tonight. He says MSNBC, he says they're owned by NBC Universal. Fox News is owned by Dominion Voting Systems. He went in, folks. He went in. He says Fox News reporters were able to attend last year because they were fully vaccinated and boosted. This year, with that $787 million settlement, they're here because they just couldn't say no to a free meal. So he just, it's like, wow. And he says, I'd call Fox honest and fair and truthful, but then I'd be sued for defamation. It was really a fun dinner. The dinner really is to raise money for scholarships that the White House Correspondents Association gives out each year. There was a real nice group of scholars that they brought in, including those from HBCUs, and it was really good to see. And of course, I haven't even gotten to Roy Wood. If you guys didn't watch it, I'm sure you could still catch the jokes. Roy Wood Jr. He didn't hold back when he took the podium. In fact, after Biden, he picks up the piece of paper. He goes, "Up, you left some classified documents here," and he starts going in on those, including the president, who has had classified documents found at their home. Of course, Trump has they found a cache of classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. At Biden's home in Wilmington, they found some classified documents there as well. So um, it was just so interesting. He told the president, he pointed out that they were protesting in France in response to the government raising the retirement age. In fact, recently France raised the retirement age from 62 to 64. And he says, meanwhile, in America, we have an 80-year-old man begging us for 4 more years of work. I thought that was gold. I don't know about you. And he kept talking about the king of scandals. He said the President Trump was the king of scandals. He says keeping up with Trump scandals is like watching Star Wars movies. You go back to watch the third one to understand the first one. Then you can't miss the second one because it's got Easter eggs for the fifth one. I mean, he just went in on everybody, and so did the president. It was a good time. The president also um, took a moment talking about how he screened the film Till during Black History Month a couple of months back, and he talked about Mamie Till being a hero, but he said another big hero is the Black press, to a rousing ovation. And Dr. Chavis and I sat there, and people came over to tip their hats and raise their hands in applause, which Doc was very happy about, of course. But he mentioned that the Black press continues to be that today. He talked about the Chicago Defender in particular, and Jet Magazine, who published the photos of a battered Emmett Till, mutilated Emmett Till body. And we talked about this on our show, Barrington. I was reminded that it was actually Make It Plain, Mark Thompson, who said we should see these things, the shooting victims, and because when Mamie Till opened that casket and allowed for an open casket and allowed for those pictures to be published in Jet, it did change the face of the civil rights movement. It changed everything at that time. People, it was really a wake up call, and so that is what the president was talking about as well. And he says the black press continues to be that entity, and we try and get to be recognized by the president, and not just by the president, but the 3,000 others in attendance who stood and applauded that. All in attendance. Uh, Rosario Rosario Dawson was in attendance. John Legend, Chrissy Teigen, uh, Brittany Griner. Got a chance to talk to Brittany Griner and her wife Sherelle there at the dinner. Very, very gracious. They talked about how wonderful it is that she's going to be playing basketball again. And she reiterated that she was definitely not going overseas anymore to play. She will make her living however she can here in the United States only. It's such an experience, but she still is advocating for Paul Wheeling and others to be released from prison in Russia and in other places across the country where Americans are being held, including the journalist who recently was brought up on spy charges in Russia. So she continues to advocate for that. Also, my man John Leguizamo was there. Got a chance to kick it with him. We took a couple of selfies. He talked about his movies. He's got some things coming up. I'm so glad to hear. I told him I hope there's some things I can see because all his stuff, it's got some scandalous stuff in it. I just don't watch certain things. But um, we did talk about that little scene. One of my favorite records of all time is Marvin Gaye "Got to Give It Up," and he and I got a big laugh out of his scene in the movie Summer of Sam. It's a Spike Lee movie, and where he's dancing to "Got to Give It Up," and my man was getting it. He was getting it, and I told him he was getting it. He was like, "Yeah." He's like, he had a lot of fun doing that scene because he actually loves that song too. So we shared that in common. Of course, a lot of politicos were in attendance. Sheila Jackson Lee was there. Got a chance to even talk to Byron Allen, who threw a mega after party starring Diana Ross late Saturday night. She brought the house down, I'm told. Didn't go, got invited. In fact, Byron Allen, I didn't tell him that I wasn't coming, but he said, "Look forward to seeing you at the museum." They had it at the National Museum of African American History and Culture, and it was by all accounts, I know the Washington Informer was there. I saw some video and pictures from the Informer, and they had a great time at the museum. Just too late for me, getting old. Can't be staying up after midnight like that partying. But nonetheless, Dinah Ross is up late partying, but she getting paid for that, not me. Ben Crump was there. He was doing Ben Crump things. Of course, the America's Black Attorney General was there. Memphis Jokes is watching. Y'all got to check out the Memphis Jokes show. Memphis is my man. He is a Chuck D protege. Memphis is he's got some great music out. And too late for me. Yeah, of course, Barrington. It's too late. I mean, come on, after midnight. But Memphis Jokes, you gotta check him out. The Memphis Jokes show is on YouTube. Check him out. Real good guy. He is, like I said, a protege of Chuck D, who signed Memphis, I guess, a couple of years ago to his label. And Memphis is doing some big things. So good to see Memphis this morning watching Let It Be Known. And thank you all for watching. Read more about the White House Correspondents' Dinner in your local Black newspaper. Uh, you should be able to see it beginning this morning. So read more about that. Watch more of it. There's some links. Don't laugh at him, Austin. Austin is laughing at what Barrington's saying. We don't want to encourage Barrington. We gave Barrington a day off so he can not be so Barrington-like this morning. So thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you again tomorrow.